evening. Happy Thanksgiving. And happy almost end of Thanksgiving. So, first, let me see if I can make this light a little less intrusive. Okay. So, a lot of people wonder where I get my intel and information from. And there's a lot that I do research on, but there's a lot that is just blatantly out there for you. A lot. So here in Virginia, they send teachers this thing called the Teacher Direct newsletter. Okay. You can go on the VDOE and sign up for it yourself. So this is one I just happened to pull up. Probably for a great reason when I sent it to myself 10 minutes ago. So let me figure out which one this is. Let's see. So you can see you have to go through and read because some of them don't seem so bad. Some of them will jump out at you instantly. But this is the problem, is that there are so many notifications about spaces that are open on different committees, about commenting periods, about, training sessions, video new science PD, things that we have no clue if you are not in the ability, like me, to sit and go through this stuff over every day. And I go through the FedEd newsletters too, not to mention Second Step, Castle, UNESCO. I get all the stuff. And it is absolutely exhausting. And so let's see if I can figure out. So just to show you, so these are all of Jillian Baylow's memos. Okay. This is why I sent you this one. This one, the 2022-23 data collection, student and staff data collections, because they have deadlines for when they have to submit stuff. Look at this. Student record collection 2023 kickoff. Now, this is an old Teacher Direct, so I can't register for it. Most of the time, by the time I find them, the events and the webinars are. But look at this. Okay, you are going to lose your mind. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. Okay, so let's see if I can. No, that's not it. I don't think if I don't download it, it's gonna. Okay. So we'll just work with what we have. Okay. So there's deadlines for what, look at all these data elements. And it says report the courses taught by your local education agency, private providers to the students for whom your LEA is responsible, and when applicable, public regional programs. For all courses reported by your LEA. Who was writing me? I thought I turned my notifications off. Sorry. But there, you're going to lose your mind when you see how much data has to be collected. Okay. Local provider ID. Teacher, all your stuff is getting a social security number. Guess what? They're recording social security numbers. Ethnic flag. Race code. Okay. Gender. A code that identifies gender. Look here. Male, female, non-binary. Okay. Must be a valid gender code. Okay, just to be real clear about this, that's required. Male, female, non-binary. So anytime that they're asking your children, not their sex, because there's two sexes, XX, XY, they are asking your child something that is a biological lie. This is just teacher records, record type. I mean, this is the amount of data that your division is turning into the Virginia Department and Board of Education on your children to go into the state longitudinal database, SLDS, the VLDS. Look it up. I've showed pictures before from the Institute of Education Science about what states we swap data with, because a federal data system is illegal. So how do they get around it? Is they make requirements for states to swap it, and then those states swap it out with other states. Not to mention the fact that your students' information is not just going to Fed Ed, it's going to the Department of Labor. It's going to the Department of Agriculture, because the Department of Agriculture is who's doing free lunch. Department of Labor, workforce-driven education. And for all my MAGA people, I hate to tell you this, he was not getting rid of Fed Ed. He was merging them with the Department of Labor. Okay. I'm pro-MAGA, but we have to be realistic with eyes wide open as we're moving forward for our children's education. He was not getting rid of Fed Ed, Department of Education. He was merging it with Department of Labor. I don't lie. As much as I don't like the times, that is the truth. So if we're going to reelect the man, we need to make stipulations that this is not going to work for us anymore. So this is the amount of data. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. That's the amount of data. And whoever would have known that had they not known to go into or sign up, because who else is going to get notified of this stuff? They don't send out a parent direct. Look, K-12 SOL Institutes in English and Language Arts registration open, because they're getting ready. What's going on with history? They're getting ready to redo the English language arts. They'll probably get rid of English and it'll become language arts skills. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet it becomes language arts skills and competencies for the fourth industrial revolution, written by Klaus Schwab. And then Aspire to Ascend webinar series. That doesn't sound frightening. Science of Teaching Reading. Conference for Science of Teaching. Don't get me started on the Virginia Illiteracy Act and the science of reading. Bridging the Gap. Learning loss. There's a whole website on this. On bridging the gap. VDOE is thrilled to have 25 Bridging the Gap partner school divisions across the Commonwealth. Did you know that you were one of the 25? Whoop, guess what? There's Chesterfield. Let's see, there's Hanover. Let's see. I mean, Powhatan. So, I mean, besides Chesterfield, so these are divisions that have historically been kind of blocked off to a lot of the stuff going on in Virginia, or thought they were. There you can notice that they are, except for Chesterfield, they are pretty small. Because why would they implement something called Bridging the Gap in a big division where there could be more. Oh, and there's a... Oh, look, they're going to provide individualized student data reports so that every K through 12 parent and teacher has all of the students' assessment information in an understandable, actionable report. So here in Chesterfield and across the state, I will be waiting for that report on my child's data on their assessments, because never in K through 6 before I pulled my child did I receive one SOL score, one MAP score, ever, because I was one of those parents that didn't know any different. Come to find out that my child with a 129 IQ was bombing. I'm talking about failing the standards of learning, MAP. And when I found out, called them and I said, if a child is straight A's, so hyper intelligent, why was I never notified, this before I even knew anything, that my child had failed abysmally the MAPs and the SOLs? Here's the truth, guys, because they don't matter. They don't measure anything. And they know that they don't, because if my child was getting straight A's and abysmally failed the SOLs, don't you think a parent should be notified? So where's all that data going? Because they're certainly not notifying parents with it. So these are the counties, again, they're going to be doing this bridging the gap. But how would we have ever found out about that had somebody like myself not signed up for, and by the way, it's not very hard. You can search VDOE Teacher Direct and sign up. But so that's an interesting one. Career and technical education, civil rights monitoring review, because guess what? FedEd monitors civil rights left and right, but it's only particular civil rights that matter. SPED, IDEA, PPRA, FERPA, all that, nah, doesn't matter. But just so you guys know, I don't think I have it pulled up on this one. If you're like Chesterfield, or probably not, because Chesterfield seems to be the only county who does not comply with the ESSER COVID money requirements, like June 1st. Every school division superintendents got a letter that they're required to have their required transparency. Still, Chesterfield, still not up. I fought to get the document, which is not transparent, sent to me personally. Still not up on the website that already exists. So just so you guys know, is that I believe it's either January 1st or December 31st. You should start letting your school boards know that the new 6-month transparency for the ESSER money is coming up, and you want a full transparency of where every dollar of that money went. And I bet they can't answer you. So it's going to bring me to, real quick, is that there's this thing called Go Open Virginia. They also use Padlet. And you can literally, right here, find out, it's like Wikipedia for instruction. Like anybody can drop in a lesson. Oop, here's a lesson. That's why teachers pay teachers is the most evil thing on the face of the earth. If you go on Pinterest and see what teachers pay teachers, it's disgusting. That defund teachers pay teachers is going to be my next shirt. So right here, this one under school counselors, so you can search Go Open Virginia school counselors. So you can see that there's 23 members and then 40 affiliates. So group resources. So you can go to classroom lesson plans. Why is mine not silenced? Maybe I'm just hearing it and y'all are not. Okay. So, here's the great thing too. Sarah Bazemore as well as Samantha Hollins, who is the SPED director that we cannot get fired to save the life of us, no matter how many due process civil rights she violates at the Virginia Department of Education. Here's the funny thing. Do you know where they came from? Chesterfield County. Funny thing is that James Lane, Samantha Hollins was at the VDOE for 8 years. And when James Lane came to Chesterfield, guess who left the VDOE? Samantha Hollins. And guess who went back to, and this is, they implemented this the behavior screeners, SEL, all that. And then when he got promoted to be school superintendent of public instruction of Virginia, she went back to the VDOE, FYI. So Bazemore, would be the omnibus team in developing assessments. So this would be like DESA, the behavior screeners back in 2017. Is that you've got Sam Hollins somewhere in here, and you've got Sarah Bazemore. So Chesterfield is the and they do mass produce the corruption that's going on across the state and then feeding into the federal. So that's just a little info packet right here. But yeah, so that was extremely interesting to me. Oh, yeah, there's Sarah Bazemore, who's now running the counselor program at the VDOE. And then I think they abbreviated her name. But where is Sam? Oh, there she is. Sam Hollins. She's on the omnibus team. Collect and synthesize recommendations, lead community dialogue, which we never had. Make final recognition. This was the assessments committee structure back in 2017. Oh, look, Thomas Taylor of Stafford. He was the team member, the chair. So anyway, I digress. But I really wanted to point to you guys this one. This came out in the June, July. So this is a flyer. So we talk about the safe space when teachers are getting, because this is under professional development opportunities right here. So they go and they get their professional development, and then they are able to put this poster or the sticker that we've seen like in Fauquier County in their window. And it's literally like whatever throughout history people have put in their window as like secret signs that this is a safe place. You can come here and you can tell me and I won't tell your parents. Literally, like I'm not even kidding. The comprehensive school counseling toolkit is extremely frightening. It goes into curriculum mapping, lesson plan template, admin, like I don't saved. I thought of it. Why is the lesson plan template? But what? Okay, so let me get to what I really wanted to show you guys. So the role of the Virginia school counselor, because it's not any longer there's no guidance counselors anymore. Just to be really clear, no guidance counselors, and they make that really clear. Let's go back to the infographic because it kind of dumps it down. It's also so they support academic, personal, social, college, career development of all students. So they're no longer 80% of a school counselor's time should be delivering counseling curriculum, small group counseling, individual counseling, or crisis counseling. So you'll notice that they're not even allowed to do classroom counseling, much less teachers. So that would be social emotional learning. Provide consultation, collaboration, or delivers. 80% of their time is this. And so that means 20% of their time is for, the children who are having problems with their guidance, their schedules, the SPED kids who are having problems with their schedules, that kind of stuff. And that was a recent law. School counselors deliver developmentally appropriate activities and services directly to students or on behalf of students through their interactions with others. So that's social emotional learning. Directly to students or on behalf of students. On behalf of students through their interactions with others. That's the support plans without parents. On behalf of students through their interactions with others, teachers, whoever, without parents. I just can't. These people have lost their minds. Let's go back. Okay. Let's go to SEL resources. Let's bang it out. All right. Let's do, what grade? You can pick a grade. Let's do 3rd to 4th grade. Okay. So the curriculum framework, that's what I want. No. Hold on. Okay. I don't want the framework. I want why is this not right? Okay. Let's look at the kindergarten crosswalk. Now, when we talk crosswalk, we're talking about the American School Counselor Association, who is a lobbying group. And they are part of the FAE, so the teachers unions, the school psychologist, and you're being asked. And so I already have this in my phone. Hang on, I'm just going to send it to myself. It's much easier. Let me just pull this up and sorry about it. That's what happens when you do late night on the fly. Because I really want to walk through these what they are sending, what they're actually teaching when they tell you that they are teaching social emotional learning. Hang on one second. Take 2 seconds. Cancel that. It's saying to you. So totally worth it. Don't go anywhere. So we're going to do 5th and 6th grade implementation resources. Maybe I can find that on here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so if you go to SEL resources, you got to go to SEL resource guides, and you'll see the implementation resources. Okay, so let's do 1st and 2nd grade. View resource. View. You can download it too. Okay, so this is literally what goes out. So first grade, when they talk about self-awareness, the emotional ABCs. So they're telling you what they're teaching your children. Feelings check-in. Helping kids. Now, guys, this is first and second grade. Self-awareness. Feeling faces. Ideas for teaching children about emotions without parents. Feelings lesson plan. Read aloud suggestions. The color monster. Listening to my body. Oh, of course, Gabby can't be found. Let's see if a free poster can be found. Nope. So there's an idea, guys. Why don't we look up Listening to My Body as an engaging and interactive picture book that introduces children to the practice of paying attention to their bodies. I got to find this real quick. Sorry. Because I had not seen this before. Because whoever they are about to get the full wrath of me. So let's find real quick. Sorry. And again, this is whatever this book is, Listening to My Body, a guide to helping children understand the connection. Okay. So whether it's breathing or whatever, I don't care. I don't want you to talk to my child about anything about their body. And then we go to, are we still in self-awareness? Yeah, I think we are. Teaching diversity, a place to begin. This is first and second grade, guys. Books on diversity. This is coming from the Virginia Department of Education. Are you following me? 12 books on diversity to get the conversation flowing. First and second grade, part of the what? First and second grade implementation resources. Addressing children's questions early on about differences. Wonder bubbles. The best ideas, classroom activities. Oh, PBS, PBS. My name, my identity. This is about pronouns. This is about pronouns in first and second grade in the state of Virginia. My name, identity, a declaration to self. Take the pledge. First and second grade. By pronouncing students' names correctly, you can foster a sense of belonging and build positive relationships in the classroom, which are crucial for healthy social, psychological, and educational outcomes. Let me tell you that it is not. My sixth grader was made to stand up by an SEL coach or some other instructional aide they had brought into my child's school, and she could not sit down until she said her pronouns at 11. Oh, your partners. That's always good. A declaration of self. If this was really about your name, how to pronounce your name correctly, that wouldn't be a problem. Getting to know me worksheets. Those are always creepy. Those are the ones that are like that asked my daughter, do you are you a leader? Are you a follower? Are you generally well liked? Are you not well liked? Do you have friends? Do you have supportive parents at home? When it talks about get to know you, that's what they're talking about. And they're collecting the data on it. Self-control. Okay, I made a post earlier about self-regulation. There's literally a paper that I have, and I have not broken it out yet, where they literally tell you that self-regulation, which is rooted in Reich, if you know what Reich is, self-regulation in children is evil. It's like tying them to a chair and not letting them move. Children are not meant to be taught self-regulation, small children especially. But self-regulation, in this paper, it'll blow your mind. It's from the University of Madrid and Bolognese in France, too. And they talk about self-regulation is required for computer-based learning. In 2001, they put this paper out. So figure it out. Self-regulation is social emotional learning. And then when I talk about all of this drive for the fourth industrial revolution, they acknowledge that self-regulation is required for computer-based learning in children, period. Coping skill. I mean, guys, keep in mind that all of this is being done, and anybody who thinks the growth mindset is still a positive thing, check yourself. Social awareness. This is where things get blatantly, they want your child to be a social justice warrior. So empathy, I'm not even going to dig into that. Teaching diversity, a place to begin. Again, same books. Scholastic. If you have a contract with Scholastic, this is what you're getting. So my sister teaches and has taught in Chesterfield County for 25 years, and she teaches this stuff, and she has no clue what she's setting the foundation for. The color of us. I mean, this book outlines the variety of ways people can be different from each other, including hair color, size. Have you heard about the hair racism? That's new. Fairness lessons. Fairness. Fairness is what? Equity. Fair. It's never too early to talk about justice. Oh, by Common Sense Media. That's even great. That's wonderful. It's never too early to talk about justice with your first and second graders. God bless it. And then, so what you can see here is, so we go from first and second grade, and then we'll jump to fifth and sixth grade. And then you got not the emotional, but the psychological ABCs. 100 days of educational neuroscience lesson plans. Basic human rights activity. Speaking up for myself, basic human rights. I have the right to say no without feeling guilty. I have the right to be treated with respect. I have the right to make my needs as important as others. I have the right to accept when I'm successful, and when I have the right to not need to be everyone's favorite human being. And then it was like, I would like to add. So they're building up to, and again, they're not teaching what actual, like the Bill of Rights, what actual human rights are. And again, this is not academics. This is not helping academics. Oh, career value sort. Oh, that was fun. When my multicultural self, teaching for tolerance, discovering my identity, learning for justice. Sure. Learning. This is literally listed. So we're talking about identity politics here. What makes me who I am? Reading diversity checklist. Gender, a person's sense of being male, female, neither or both. Guys, this is stuff still coming out of the Virginia Department of Education. Talk with your student about their identities and what makes them who they are. List words that can help the person's identity. They are forming children's identity. Okay. Visit your school or local library and check out an assortment of illustrated children's books featuring racially diverse characters. Form small groups. Groupthink. Groupthink leads to genocide. Let's not forget that. Still in Morbido. Identity self-portraits. Oh, Edutopia.
Identity is what makes you who you are. Race, gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic background, sexual orientation.
Way to go, Virginia Department
all your
of
identity
Education.
markers shape how you perceive the world, but also shape how others perceive you.
Identity
so
politics.
Identity work in a classroom is very important because it builds a level of trust. Students feel safe to be who they are. Identity portraits are a project that allows kids to express their own identities. Basically, I give them a piece of paper, I give them colored pencils, markers, crayons, and I tell them that they're going to draw a portrait of themselves. They draw like their head and their shoulders, and then they draw a line down the middle of their face. Then I tell them to color one side, like the skin tone, the jacket or shirt that they're wearing. And then on the other side, I want them to add in their identity markers. And kids kind of tell their own story. They tell me who they are through a picture. One of the things that kids take away from our discussions is the difference between visible and invisible identity markers. If you walked up to somebody in the mall, could you tell that they are in a certain identity group? So people can see that I wear glasses. So that would be signifying that I have a disability. My skin color could be a signifier as far as my racial or my ethnic identity. Invisible markers, those are ones that either the person likes to keep hidden or that you just are unsure of. One invisible identity that I stress is...
and 6th graders in the state of Virginia. Identity markers. Identity charts. Identity, identity, identity. They talk identity until your child has the identity they want them to have. Oh, Newzella. Where's Tiffany Polifka right now? Newzella. God bless it. Self-management, building self-confidence, dealing with stress and strong emotions. It probably looks a lot like the one that caused my daughter to think that she had, I have to count, so sorry. I can't even with these people. Social awareness. Perspective taking social skills lessons. Teach critical social skills of perspective taking. African quilt activity. The difference between empathy and sympathy. Mind map. Have a difficult conversation. This should be good.
Today, we're going to discuss having difficult conversations. Talking to people in general can be challenging for some. However, needing to have a difficult conversation can be even more challenging. Difficult conversations can come in several different forms. Difficult conversations usually occur when people are upset or hurt about someone or something. Typically, these conversations end in bad news or consequences for one or both parties. Let's look at a scenario. Brittany had a project to complete in English, but she wanted to go to the movies with her friends instead, so she told her parents that the project had already been done. Brittany received a 0 on the project.
So, just to cut in, because I can't be here all night, because it's already 12:30 in the morning. They're telling children how to have difficult, it's parenting. Stay in your lane. Don't teach my child about what kind of conversations they should come home and have once they've lied to their parents. Point blank. Campaign for change. Can't wait. Oh, let's make a copy. We got to see this one. Campaign for change, 5th and 6th grade. And again, this is like Wikipedia. Anybody can come in and make this. So this would be Mrs. Mayo somewhere in Virginia has made this. This is a problem in my world. My community, big or small. How can I use kindness? So we're talking about like SDGs here, the campaign. This is a possible solution. They're creating social justice warriors right here. Why can't I click anything else? I don't know how this thing works. Maybe it's the same slide all the way down. I don't know. Okay, anyway. leadership style quiz. If this is the same one that my daughter took, I'm going to flip out. Oh, are you a servant leader? What type of leader are you? Because you're either going to be a leader or a follower. And that's how they're going to determine your lot for the workforce-driven education. Are you a leader or are you a follower? Bursting this is 5th and 6th grade, guys. Seriously. Bursting stereotypes. I don't know what that is. Tolerance. Teaching tolerance. More teaching tolerance lesson plan. Balloons. Oh, I love these. This is more of that group think, group activity. What is a stereotype? Bursting stereotype. That's a new one for me. Like black joy. I mean, guys, I really just wanted to jump in here and show you. Oh, anti-bias building blocks. Anti-Defamation League. I don't have access, but can you imagine? So you have Anti-Defamation League and anti-bias building blocks. Analyzing how the world communicates bias. Learning for justice. I mean, I don't even need an access to tell you what that is. Relationship skills. Again, I mean, we're teaching insanity to children. Oh, let's look up these books. The girls. Peer pressure. Peer pressure. So you can see in here, has anybody mentioned like bullying? Like, is it really about bullying? Circle of control. Lord help my soul if this opens up. What I can, what I can't control. Ethics plan. What is wrong and what is right? Let's teach ethics to my children. Please. I would really love for you to teach ethics about determining what is right in solving conflicts. Oh, look, brain pop. Brain pop. So, guys, this is all, look, lesson plan. I can't even. I mean, this is what, and our kids can't read. Our kids can't do math. Our kids can't do anything. But yet they have got so many discovering my identity, learning for justice. Oh my God, celebrating difference. I mean, where in the world are they having time to teach? Oh, that's right. They're not. Our kids can't read. We're 15th in the nation. Oh, but look, helpful resources. Castle resources. SEL in the classroom, school-wide guide, teacher self-assessment, SEL in the classroom, grade level team meetings tool by Castle, 3 signature practices playbook, Virginia's 5 C's, Edutopia, social emotional learning library. If you ever wanted to know, here we go. There it is. And this is sent out. I mean, this is start with learning for justice lesson library. Here we go. Oh, how do we end up at second step? Clicking on learning for justice. Oh, well, we did. Oh, because that's because second step. Who has a contract with second step? Chesterfield County. Everybody I know. Learning for justice is second step. Lined up together. That's how that works. With that Castle hotbed of collusion and corruption. Oh, look. Anti-Defamation League. Once again, ableism. I can't even. Newsella. Headspace. My daughter was told last year you can get the Headspace app. Just make sure you ask your parents. Bet she did that. My name, mine, didn't he? Oh, we did that one. Curriculums. Castle approved. Castle approved. Castle founder. Castle approved. Castle approved. Castle approved. Castle approved. All of these. Everything. Oh, want more? Look at the Padlet. Here we go. SEL resources for teachers. Mind Yeti. Guys, this is literally implicit bias. If you want to know what social emotional learning they are teaching and what it is really about, it is right here. It is all here. Fostering equity in the classroom. 5 ways to make classrooms more inclusive. This was one of my all-time favorites that I found a year ago. Avoid using gendered language to address students. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Make your ally status known by hanging a rainbow flag, sharing your own pronouns, and or supporting the school's LGBT groups. Inclusive practice classrooms. Right there. In the Padlet resources for teachers. Now tell me how Glenn Youngkin has begun with his new respecting whatever to replace Northam's transgender policy has begun to dismantle this is what I want to know. D-Day is coming when that stuff is going to be implemented, and none of this has been taken down. None of it. And you wonder why I tell you that that man has done nothing in this state. Oh, there's Castle right there. Anti-Defamation League. Guys, it's all here. Literally here. I will copy and paste. God, poor people on fucking... Sorry. I don't know. Why can't I get over here? Oh! Guiding questions for educators, promoting equity using SEL. They're right there. I can't even, like, guys, it's right here. A guide to TikTok. I don't know, I can't get over here. So it's annoying me. Oh, SEL video lessons. Let's look at that. Oh, can't get in there. Okay. Guys, it's all here. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Besides, if you are not all up in this, like, what are they teaching? Implicit bias. I mean, we know what it is, and it's bullshit. Excuse my mouth. Implicit biases often stand in opposition to a person's stated belief. My assistant principal believed that he was an advocate for our students, but his actions were driven by unconscious assumptions that formed a glass ceiling over their achievements. We can't afford to ignore the far-reaching effects of implicit bias in schools. I don't have implicit bias. I do not, and I'm not racist. I'm not anti-racist. Okay? I'm just simply not racist. And I will never, ever continuously acknowledge anybody for the color of their skin all day, every day. And if I don't do so, then I become racist. I will not raise my children that way. That is abysmal, and that is disgusting, and that is what they're doing in our, it's right here, the VDOE, 5th and 6th grade, SEL resources. Mind Yeti, in case you wonder if that ever pops up on your kids' thing, yeah, look it up. So, guys, this is 5th and 6th grade. Again, it's not hard to find this stuff. Go open Virginia. It's all on the VDOE site. Let's look at what 9th and 10th, because by 9th and 10th grade, I'm telling you this much, is that I do know, after looking at this over and over and over, is that social awareness is full-blown activism. Teaching your child tolerance. Lessons and resources for teaching about economic inequality. Microaggression activity. Microaggression activity. Breaking the prejudice habit. This is our children in Virginia, still 1 year after Glenn Youngkin's been elected. This stuff is still being pushed out to our teachers to teach our children. When are you going to wake up? Alvin Poussant refers to cumulative impact of experiencing microaggressions as death by 1,000 nicks. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? This is an assignment put out by the VDOE for 9th and 10th graders. If a person from a marginalized group pointed out to you that one of your comments was a microaggression. So when we talk microaggressions, we're talking about if I was walking into Target and I've accidentally gotten somebody from another color who believed in all this stuff in their way, and I was on my phone not paying attention and wasn't like automatically like, oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me, which I knew normally would be, and went about my day, that person would say that that was a microaggression. Instead of me just being a human. So let's be clear about what that is. Okay. So if somebody pointed out to me that one of my comments was a microaggression, which goes into political correctness, and now we have to watch everything that we say because it could be taken as a microaggression, versus the blatant aggression coming from the other side. Let's be clear about that. How would you respond at the time? Would it change the likelihood of your making a similar comment in the future? Why or why not? And my guess is that this is going to be done in a group exercise to create conformity in children. Daryl Wing Sue has argued that the impact of subtle prejudice, such as microaggressions, is more harmful than the impact of blatant discrimination. So again, back to my Target example. Something that somebody perceives as a microaggression when it's just me, and believe it or not, I am the most polite, open doors, tell my kids to say yes, ma'am, thank you. I take people, I don't see color. I see everybody as beautiful human beings until you give me a reason not to. So if I make a mistake and I don't say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, I got in your way, I'm so sorry, which is what I do, and I'm on my phone and I'm just in another world for a second, that would be a microaggression. So you're telling me that that microaggression is more harmful than the impact of blatant discrimination. Do you disagree or disagree? This is 9th through 12th grade SEL resources in Go Open Virginia, coming out of the Virginia Department of Education. Just to be clear. Issues of poverty. How to spot fake news. Addressing identities. Young adult book list. Lord help me, what does this say? Oh, fuck you and cookies. Oh, empathy and representation. Gotta have, these books, I can't even, we need diverse books campaign. Oh. Suggested YA novels. Middle grade novels. Eye-opening books for children. Books for young readers. Oh my God, gotta post this for Bobby. Thank you, Ginger. I can't believe it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning and here I am. But for those of you that are night owls, when I get my kids to sleep, because I don't have time during the day between phone calls, trying to make change when other people are awake and working. So the only time that I can get on here to do this kind of stuff is this time of night. So, and I don't care about getting subscription or lives or anything like that. I just simply have to get this information out there because when I keep it up here, it explodes. So suggested books, suggested picture books. I'm going to blow my mind. Implicit bias lessons, implicit bias assessment from Harvard. Again, 9th and 10th grade coming out of the VDOE. Still to this day with our great governor. Oh, but you got to take the data privacy pledge because that means something. No, it doesn't. In case you didn't know. I'm not going to log in all this stuff. I will probably tomorrow. But I'm not going to do it right now. Downloadable worksheets for multicultural psychology. Shame and accountability podcast. Oh my God. Talking about race and privilege. This is the problem, guys. The National Association for School Psychologists, the school counselors. Okay, now you've got this social workers that are in schools. And if that doesn't scare the living crap out of parents, it should. Because there is nobody that is above having your child taken from you by CPS. Your neighbor could call because she's a catty and call and put in an anonymous report. You're in the system and you can't get out. They're asking your kids all these questions all day long. Do you have a supportive parent? And there's social workers in schools. They're collecting data. Okay. Crazy Pants Guzman and her we're going to criminalize parents who don't affirm their children. That is an old bill that she brought back up. Okay. If what Trump said, they're not coming for me, they're coming for you, I'm just in the way, is literally the truth. And they're still coming. If you can't admit that we have a governor who has been in office for 1 year and has done nothing to protect these children, because you're probably thinking in your head, yeah, but he changed the transgender model policy. Right, but the 8 divisions that have pretty much said, you can kiss my ass. He's not going to do anything about that. Yeah, well, that we do have the House of Delegates, but the problem is that there's about, I know half my district, and I got 5 of them here in Chesterfield, is that they are complete establishment. So when we talk about, yeah, we have red bodies in the House of Delegates. Here's what Ginger said. And then what we have to do next year is we have to take the Senate and get America First in there, not have the attitude of we're just going to put red bodies in red seats. Is that if they don't align with conservative Republican values and all they are, I've got a Carrie Coyner, okay? She is a complete liberal. You've got, I can't even tell you the amount of lunacy that comes out of the Republican Party. And so when we talk about taking it back, we take it back by getting rid of the establishment. And when I talk about the establishment, I'm talking about the continued the fluffers. They endorse each other. Oh, you've done nothing in Senate for 10 years, but I'm going to endorse you. Anybody at this point, literally anybody who has been endorsed by the governor, by Winsome Sears, by Jason Miyares, by anybody in, those are people that I would never vote into office. Never. I would look for a different option. People like Matt Strickland, Mike Allers. There's others across the state that, like, I would say, like Marie March in the House of Delegates was a wonderful selection. And there are some that were abhorrent. So is that we have to say that, did we take it back? Because if we took it back, what are they doing? Because they're pushing this workforce-driven education, which is a Republican thing, that is in combination with what the left is doing, social emotional learning. And it's all destroying children's education. So until we establish, and I'm going to end it there, until we establish that the problem with education, and I talk about education all day long, the problem is that until we acknowledge that what we have done is that we have this blind belief in authority. We have this blind belief that Glenn Youngkin, who ran on I'm going to ban CRT. If I knew then what I knew now, I would tell you can't ban CRT. It's an actual curriculum. You can't ban it. He did not ban CRT by issuing a divisive ideologies guidance, because all a guidance is in education policy is a would you please. Okay. The transgender, that took me and a couple other people knowing the legislation that was written saying a policy has to stand and then passing it to the VDOE. And it's like a school board policy. It can be revised at any time. It's not a law. From the day he took office, we started up there. When is this changing? When is this changing? When are you changing this? If you live in Chesterfield County, living hell from day one. August 10th, they adopted it. Everything. Kindergartners can determine their gender. Support plans without parents. When are you changing this? When are you changing this? I had the phone call in July that he had that policy for 3 months still sitting on his desk. So here we are 1 year after he was elected, and that is still not in place. And he is still going to leave it up to the localities, whether they even honor it or not. Okay. That is not what parents matter. Parents matter. Parents matter. When I did not travel 7 rural districts to get that man elected. Okay. And not to mention the fact that the jab is on the table now. The VDH is going to add that if your children go to public schools. And guess what? He's not going to stop them. He's going to leave it up to the localities. So you better get in gear with who's going to be on your school boards. You better rally your crew to get people on your school boards, because he's not going to stop them from adding the jab. Period. We were the first state to have HPV. That was a Republican, Dunnicant, who put HPV. Our children have HPV. There are 3 states. 3 states in DC, 4, since the Gardasil about 13 years ago. Do you know who the one state who was first to adopt it? Virginia. Merck. Figure out that. And now we've got, they're putting the jab. So this is wonderful. I talk to national leaders in education all over the state all day long and educate them. Virginia is not okay. Period. Virginia is not okay. Nothing has changed. We have a governor that is getting, we need to talk, girl. He's disgusting. Not only that, but he is literally Klaus Schwab Jr. And our children are literally being educated in front of all this data, what is the data doing? Your child is getting a different instruction than the child sitting next to them in their computer based on the data, driving them into, as Amy Gadara said, they have to recover Virginia's workforce. They have to recover the economy. Children are not being taught to become aerospace engineers or to become higher. They are not adding vocation. And every time I speak on this, they are not adding vocation to education. They are supplementing. Why do you think our children are so dumb, so mentally defective? Because everything they've done in education policy in the last 20 years in this state is wrong. It is not founded on anything. I have the 2013 congressional report where they say phonics is how you teach children to read. Phonics is the only way that you teach underprivileged children to read. Phonics, they mention it over and over and over. Yet you read Carrie Coyner in this illiteracy bill, I call it the Illiteracy Act. They talk about the science of reading. Okay. Read that legislation, evidence-based, the science of reading. Okay. There's no mention of phonics. They're not teaching phonics. They want our children to be dumb. New math, fuzzy math, critical thinking in kindergarten. Why? Because that's what all of these, the Chamber of Commerce, the World Economic Forum has determined that they said that these jobs that these children need don't even exist yet. So when we talk about self-regulation is needed for computer-based learning, your child is getting a different instruction based on whether they have been deemed an alpha or a beta on this data that they've been collecting for years. And now they're going to start it in Head Start, 18-month-old to 36 months old, 4 and 5-year-old. So by the time they get to first grade, they've already been deemed on their EQ, their emotional quotient, whether they are an alpha or a beta or a delta or a gamma. And so the rest of their education, they can't give you the curriculum because they're each getting a different one. We have watched tests transform, like move based on what children answered. Not move like so that they can't cheat. That kind of move, you know how when we were going to school, we had paper tests and there were 3 different versions so that you couldn't go. No, not that kind of changing, but like literally, like you're deemed a delta, so you're going to be dumbed down over here. Okay. And I said this every time I close, is that people like me that push back, okay, they are going to deliberately, children that are less malleable to become part of their cog machine, they're the ones that they're going to dumb their education down more. The people with the brains that they can free think. That's not what they want. And this is both parties. Virginia has probably the worst in the whole nation for pumping this stuff out in a bipartisan manner. So you need to ask, and I will again close like this, you need to ask your legislators, you need to call your delegates, you need to call your senators, and you need to ask them, do you know what 21st century skills is? Do you know what workforce education is? Do you know what, when every time they say global citizenship, what that means? And find out if they're stupid or swamp swimming, because at this point it's one of 2 things. And once you've determined that you've given them the information, because it's all on Virginia Department of Education, I've done about 18 shows on it. I talk about it every single day until people realize that a red body in a red seat is not a Republican conservative Virginia. When we have people standing up and fighting for the truth and not voting R, you got an R? Okay, I'll vote an R. R bad or R good. It is the absolute the uniparty. Amen. Across the nation, you can see somebody in each one of the houses stepping forward and saying, no, we need this for parents. We need this for the children. Virginia, on education. Nothing. Why? Because half of them have voted for, they've been in the Senate for 10, and they didn't know what they were voting for. They were stupid. And now at this point, they know they're stupid and they've become swamp swimming because now they're aware. And instead of being humble and saying, oh, you know what? I was so involved in 2A, abortion, voter rights, voter whatever, that we have completely missed the mark on education. And guess what? Virginia, yet again, 50th in the nation. Our kids can't read. Our kids can't do math. Has any politician in the state of Virginia, since the new NAEP scores that we were 50th, the only state basic, made a statement about that? Besides Lee Ware stating that he was appalled when we have been 50th in the nation for, I think, 7, 8, maybe at least 7 years. How is anybody appalled? Why would you reelect anybody in this state who is appalled at the state of our education system? They should all get an overhaul, is my opinion. Because they all voted for all this stuff. And if they voted not knowing, shame on you. This generation, will be done. The fate of America will be done when this generation is done. And if we don't all step up and do something about it, shame on you. Whether you have to lose your wine night, your barbecue, or you become, trust me, when people come up to me in Target and they say, "You look familiar," I know you, thank you, and they hug me, that's what gets me through my days. Because being this person, calling out both political parties, does not make me popular. But you know what? At the end of the day, I look at my baby girls and I know that I'm fighting to leave them a better world for my grandchildren. Because that's what it's come down to. I don't know if you guys have watched the newest Klaus Schwab at the G20 from 6 days ago. I was in the bathtub, taking a bath, listening to it. And with a master's in geopolitical war history, I literally thought it was, because if you say Mein Kampf on here, you'll get in trouble. But I literally listening to this German man speak about how we needed to get rid of segmentation. Segmentation is what he called it. And they're already starting. It's like the Hunger Games. They're already determining the new world order, the one world. And it's like, okay, District 12 is going to make this. They're already doing it. Like some of the most productive farmers in the nation are in the world are now being told that they're no longer going to do that. The United States is zero self-sustaining. We buy all of our energy, uranium, whatever you want to call it, from Russia, from other places. We have a president not setting us up. He's setting us into becoming a part of this. So trust me, I'm not just bashing on Republicans. I just got so tired of bashing on the blatant racism and the sexualization of the children that I had to wake up people that is not the only thing going on. But go back and look up the G20, which Klaus Schwab, you have to be elected official to go to G20. And Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates were there. Yeah. And guess who was speaking with China in 2020 in Davos, Switzerland? And this was Glenn Youngkin. You want to go back and you want to look up something scary? Go to YouTube. Look up Davos, Switzerland, because you type in World Economic Forum, it's harder to find because there's so much Youngkin stuff now. Type in Davos, Switzerland, Glenn Youngkin, 2020. And then think about the campaign. Listen to how he talks about human capital, about labor, about stuff that you hear him talking about now. And it is frightening how extremely hyper intelligent that man is. And how he came out of nowhere, came out of Davos, Switzerland to become the governor of Virginia when nobody knew who he was. Go listen to him talk with the Chinese about economic policy and the United States. It is frightening that is now our governor, especially when you go and you listen to what Klaus Schwab now says is how they have to proceed with this G20. We are literally going to be living in the Hunger Games where, you're not going to produce that anymore. You're going to produce this. And that's what they're teaching our kids. I did the whole presentation, UNESCO. Look up UNESCO, Mahatma Gandhi Institute. SEL for SDGs, dissonance. They will tell you that SEL is required for the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, because they have to teach children early because for SDGs, that's the collective mindset, is that you have to think of the world like, Mother Earth, like, global warming. You have to think of like the earth over your own personal well-being. And so children naturally know that that's not right. It's like children naturally have boundaries, like stranger danger. You shouldn't be talking to me about this. So the grooming that goes on, it's the same thing. They will literally tell you that SEL is required to make the SDGs work to stop the dissonance in children. And the earlier that you start them on it, then the easier it's going to be to make them give up their boundaries, their free will. It's all out there. In the last week over Thanksgiving break, I've talked about this numerous times, and I will continue to talk about it until people understand that this has been a plan for a very long time. A very long time. We are just waking up to it. Virginia is 10 years behind. The nation has been talking about this for a long, long time. Long time. So the last message that I left on Glenn Youngkin's voicemail, because yes, I do have it, because I told him, everything that I know about education policy, I have learned from the nation. Everything I know about what you are doing in the state of Virginia with Amy Gadara, I learned from the nation. So the nation knows who you are. The nation knew who you were when you were running here. They will never let you become president. Save your soul and do what you said you were going to do. It comes down to that. Because everybody has got to, and I cannot emphasize this enough, everybody has got to step out of your comfort zone, look at the reality that is facing our children. In Lynchburg, Virginia, a satanic church, held an event at a public school there. Where's our government? Where's our governor? Where is the man who is supposed to govern this state? That includes holding up his oath of office that he would uphold the United States Constitution and the Virginia Constitution. At what point do we say, because we are the only nation that has written into its Constitution that should our government fail, we can overthrow it? We have to at some point acknowledge we don't have time to wait until his term is over. We don't have 3 years. These children do not have 3 years. And I cannot be the only person in this state amongst with 4 or 5 others who are starting to pick up and learn and educate themselves about the truth that's going on. These children, 1.3 million in public schools. Mine are protected because I was able to pull them out, and we scrimp and we save and we suck down, and I did put all my money into this, what Bobby and I do here, and spend $20,000 to keep my children away from that. But it's still in private schools. It's still there. I'm all over them. Is that I can put my kids in a bubble. But those parents that pull their kids out and then disappear into the night, shame on you. Because guess what? Your kids are going to get out of that bubble, and guess what? Who they're going to have to interact with the rest of their lives? These kids that you left behind because you didn't fight. Your kid, you can't protect your kids from this. If we don't change this, I would say that we are at like 1938 Germany right now, peering into the final solution. The Senate race, if we don't get the right people in the Senate, and I'm not talking about Republicans. I'm talking about the right Republicans who will stand up for the truth, who will stand up for what has been going on and say, no more, not in my Virginia. If you don't get the right people on the school board, because what it comes down to is the school boards. The school boards will be in what I call it is the iron wall, because all of this, the school board has the right to say, no, I don't want your money. I don't want your curriculum. I don't want your standards of learning. I don't care what Obama said under ESSA. The school boards will become the iron wall between the government of Virginia and the government of the United States and our children until we can fix it. So you start looking and you get the right people on those school boards with the balls to say, you know what, superintendent, you have violated because they work for the school boards. You are not doing your job. You are fired, and we will find somebody to do your job. We will not hand over our authority to you anymore. You go and you find those people if you are not willing to stand up and do it yourself. That's what it comes down to. Next year is the Senate getting the rhino liberals out of the House of Delegates and getting the right people. And if you know people that just got elected on the school boards and they're not quite sure about education policy or the truth about education, nobody that just got elected should be pro workforce education. Nobody. I had this conversation with 2 people today who were getting ready to announce that they're running for school board in different parts of the nation today. And they sent me their, I'm running for school board flyers. And I said, I have to tell you that if I saw this, I would be anti-you, because everything that you is propaganda and it's establishment that you just posted. These are people that thought they were doing good things. So you have to know what you're talking about. In this state, I cannot be the only one. The information is out there. I do this all day. Everybody knows how to find me. Call me. I'll tell you. I can run it down for you in about an hour in basic detail so that you can be like, and see. I'll send you the videos where Amy Gadara out of her mouth says it. It's all there. Go through this channel. It's all there. So at 1:15 in the morning, I'm going to go. But let's have another midnight session tomorrow night. Perhaps, I'll think about it more. Maybe we'll go through the new G20 that's frightening as hell. Or maybe we'll watch a little bit of Youngkin in Davos, Switzerland, which I think I covered 2 or 3 nights ago, but the sound was really crappy. Ginger. Lynchburg, Campbell County. But, Jackie, I love you to death. And God bringing us together was literally like savior. And I have those moments with people where it makes it worth it. I was in Target the other day and this woman came up to me and she said, I know you. And normally when I get that, I'm like, Facebook, Chesterfield County. And just the biggest hug. Came up and just hugged me. I did not know her. I did not know she followed me. I did not know who she was. She's not somebody that she said her name. I had no idea who she was. And she was like, I'm not loud on Facebook, but I'm in Chesterfield County and thank you. And she was like, thank you. And I broke down because but those are the things that I don't realize how many people are watching, because a lot of people don't come out and say it. But is that I don't. There's nothing about me that does. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not doing this for the fame. I'm not doing this for anything other than like I tell people, this is my calling, and it wasn't a conference call. And every day I get up and I put on my IDGAF, as I call it, and I go and I don't look back. I don't care what people think about me. I know what side I'm on. I'm on the right side of God. I'm on the right side of history. And when you have that conviction, you can do this. And you might lose people. My circle has gotten very small, but it has gotten very, very solid. When you have a very small circle that you can say that you would take into war, that is what life and friendship at this age is about. It is not about having everybody like you. It is not about everything. When you know that every day you get up and you change somebody's world, some child's future, that's what this is about. It's not about how many friends you have or how many people that like you. Because a year ago, I was told that my approach to this, because I refused to politic, was not going to work. Sorry about your luck. I have 2 big bills in the till with Nick Freitas. I'm Megan with Bobby with our tiny little nonprofit waves across this nation, across this state. Now, without 1 cent of dark money that requires you to not talk about SEL, not talk about data. We are by the people, for the people, funded by the people. It's mainly just Bobby and I are lucky because we're not divorced, because we've spent all our spouses' money. But is that we have amazing spouses that back us up. And mine's probably still downstairs, like, why in the hell didn't you gotta go to bed? But is that literally it'll take about 30. If there was 30 warriors speaking truth in this state, not even in a, because I can tell you with 60,000 children, the change that I have done by forcing the law, by being up there every day, all day, forcing opt-outs. You're not going to do this. This is PPRA. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. I know everybody's got questions about every politician. Lord have mercy. I know. I've got everybody. That's the problem with the Republican Party. It's so much infighting. So and so hates so and so. So and hates so and so. So and so is part of the establishment. They're friends with so and so. God bless them. I can't help it. But as long as I get final say in my legislation, they're not going to mutilate my legislation that's going to protect these children. I get final say. You don't get to let Louise Lucas in the Senate do anything to my legislation. It passes as is, or it doesn't pass at all. Then, yeah, I know about everybody. But it's such a headache. I talk to people that I love, and they hate people that I like. And I'm like, that's the one thing. The left can hate us all day long. They can hate each other. But they hate us more than they hate each other. And that's why they win. Is because they can unify to hate us. Meanwhile, you got the right over here attacking, infighting. How many factions of actual conservatives, Republicans, rhinos, whatever the hell, trans Republicans you want to have? And over here, they're plotting and planning, plotting and planning, plotting and planning. And we're over here. And we wonder why we fail. They've been planning this stuff for 100 years. Over 100 years. And Republicans live in 4-year terms. Oh, we won for 4 years. Oh, time to run again. Oh, we lost for 4 years. No wonder we've made no actual impact on anything for our futures. We live in 4-year segments. Well, these people have been planning this stuff for 100 years. Lord have mercy. I gotta go. Ginger, so nice to meet you. Jackie, love you as always. I will catch up with y'all. And let's get together sometime soon and talk about this. Jam it out. Because we gotta figure this out. Good night, guys. Take care.